Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Pieces of Impact podcast. My name is Steve Seeger, and I'm the host here. And we like to document conversations with impactful people across business, sports, fitness, and the outdoors, among other things. And I got an awesome guest today, and Steele Chambers. Steele, thanks for joining me today.
Glad to be here, brother.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this. And I want to just kick things off. I know we talked about this earlier, just giving you the opportunity to walk through your background, where you've been, what you're
Mhm.
doing, where you're heading, so the audience can learn a little bit about you before we jump in.
Yeah, my name's Steele Chambers. I grew up in Georgia. I went to Ohio State coming out of high school, went there for college, played 5 years of football there, transitioned to the NFL, had a little bit of time with the Detroit Lions, a little bit of time with the New England Patriots. Got let go from those teams, and now currently doing the UFL and also starting to work in media opportunities as far as like possible broadcasting and then some other stuff with like analytics and all that.
hmm We got a lot to dig into. One of the first things I wanted to start off with was uh, with you doing a lot at once right now. You're still playing pro ball. Um, Walk me through what a typical weekday right now, from like wake up to bedtime, looks like for you. I'm very curious to hear all
Well,
you got going on.
luckily our coach they're very nice to us as far as like our camp schedule. So we don't have it's not like a 12-hour day or nothing like that.
hmm
So wake up probably like 6:30 or so. We'll have meetings around 8 o'clock. Meetings will go from 8 to like 9:30. Some days we might have lifts at 10, some days not. Usually I'll try to fit in an episode of the Bobby Carpenter show sometime around that like 10 to 12 window, because then practice starts at 12 o'clock. And then we got practice from 12 to 2 usually. We get back here, I try to get some Chipotle or some Smoothie King or whatever. We've got meetings from about 3 to 5:30 or so. And then depending on the day after like that 5:30 mark, we might shoot for another show with Bobby where we just record and hopefully like air it the next day or something like that. And then by 7 o'clock, I got really nothing going for me.
hmm How did that opportunity with Bobby get started? When did you start doing that?
It's been about 2 months or so. Back during the season after I got let go, I was doing this thing called Tape Talk on Instagram and everything, where I'd like pick a college football game. I'd break it down, just try to explain to people like just the ins and outs of college football in general. And Bobby, he saw that. His former host, Anthony Schlegel, he's back working with the Ohio State football team. So there was an opening as a co-host. So he just reached out to me, saw that I was kind of working in that field, say like, hey, like I've known you for like 5, 6 years now. Like you're a good guy. I feel like you can do this. So just come on, be a co-host with me. So I said, hell yeah.
hmm And what sort of prep goes into that compared to the videos you were making before? I mean, is there another level to that, or is just the amount of time you're spending around football and you have spent kind of make it seamless for you a little bit?
It's not that hard. Honestly, we have a big group chat with like 4 or 5 guys, and anytime they see anything interesting across Instagram, Twitter, that's just in the sports world, especially Ohio State, then we just send it in. And then once you see it, you can just scroll through, do a little quick little read through. And then, of course, there's a doc where we like kind of plot what we're going to talk about each episode. You just kind of scroll through that. You do that for maybe an hour or so. And then after that, it's just kind of like just talking ball. So for the
Yeah,
most part, like we're just shooting it with one another. It's pretty easy. It's not really that stressful. So it's a good time. I don't even consider it work.
yeah, that's cool. How often are you guys posting on there?
It's Monday through Friday, 5 days a week.
Cool,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And you're in the UFL right now. One of
Mhm.
the things we talked about a couple weeks ago was how every team is in one area practicing right now in the off
Yes.
season. I think that'd be really cool to talk about here and share with the audience how it's set up right now.
It's a very interesting setup. So we got like our big HQ building over here in Arlington, Texas, and
hmm
there's 3 floors. The first floor, I think that's like for some government like entity. I don't know who's down there. And then second and third floor, they both have 4 different teams where there's like 4 corners. Every team has their little corner. It looks like the back rooms, if you've ever heard of it. Just like weird kind of office buildings where we all go to. We have our meetings here. We have God, what's it called? We have like all of our like medical stuff here, and we're just chilling here like all throughout meetings, most parts of the day until we go out to practice. So yeah, it's a lot of guys in and out because I mean probably 60 to 70 people per team. So I mean we've got like hundreds of people in this building. So it's a very interesting setup. I'm curious if they're going to change it once like UFL starts growing a little more, but this is what we got.
Yeah. Do you think that it'll continue to expand?
I think it needs to get to a point where we're actually like located in the cities. I feel like
Mhm.
that's one thing kind of holding them back. So like for us, like Louisville Kings, we travel to our games every single week.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy to
yeah,
me.
even though we're home games, like you got to go out there. You're only in the city for got 24 hours. So it's just kind
Mhm.
of hard to like build up a brand and build up a team whenever you're not actually in the city like with the people. So I think over time they'll develop that and hopefully get teams out to the cities that they're playing in. But for right now, I mean, this works. So, and I love Arlington, so I love living here too.
Yeah. How much of your network from Ohio State and from the NFL has helped you in the UFL? But I guess a better way of asking that is how many people have you bumped into that you played against or previously?
Well, now going to my second year, there's probably 4 or 5 guys in every single team that I know, either from playing them or like collegiately. Like I've got one of my buddies that played, I think like third grade through sixth grade football here, like on the team with me. So,
Okay.
yeah, so it's awesome. He's a D lineman, Chris Hitton. So I know him really well. We've got like I think 12 or 13 guys from a former team from last year, Memphis Showboats on this team. So yeah, like connections are just always just building and whatnot. But I think I don't know. I don't know if it like truly helps you that much. It's just cool, like knowing familiar faces around you.
Yeah. Yeah. What sort of differences at a high level are there from the NFL to the UFL? Just a couple things that come to mind, I guess, when I ask that.
Ooh, oh goodness gracious! I feel like it's definitely somewhat of a step down as far as like not preparation, but just overall like how things are conducted.
Yeah.
Because the NFL, like, there's just so many more dollars that you're able to work with as far as like nutritional stuff, and then, of course, like meeting rooms, practice, and everything. Here, it's kind of everything's on the fly. Like
Hmm.
yesterday, like there was a big thunderstorm in Arlington. We couldn't practice on our usual field, so we had to go to like a local high school, whatever, and practice in the indoor. So
Got
it's
it.
just like you
Yeah.
got to be able to kind of like move quickly, like change things very fast because it's just kind of the wild, wild west out here sometimes. But it's still a solid league, still loving it right now. So yeah, no complaints.
Backtracking a little bit, I would be curious to hear how you ended up at Ohio State. I know you said you're from Georgia, and I remember just through mutual friends like Jacob, who was on this show, watching you guys, and you changed positions a couple of times there,
Hmm.
and you still made it to the NFL. I mean, I'm curious about like your recruitment process, why you chose Ohio State. Could you just start there, and then we'll kind of go?
Yeah, so yeah, I always get asked like, did I ever like Georgia since I'm a Georgia kid? You didn't go there. I wasn't a big fan of them. I don't know why. I went to a bunch of camps as a kid, just never fell in love with them. Kirby Smart, great coach. I just didn't really gel with him very much. But God, got recruited by Urban Meyer like sophomore year of high school or so. Had a great relationship with him. Had a great relationship with Tony Alford, the running back coach, who's now sadly at Michigan. So yeah, that started off really great with those two. Met Coach Day as well, great guy. And then I went on a couple visits, met my future roommates, Tommy Eichenberg and Cade Stover. Loved them, hell of dudes. And then just over time, I just figured like there's no other place I'd really rather be. So I committed my junior year, stayed committed the entire time, and then ended up going there. Met Jacob James, Josh Fryer, Cody Simon, Mitchell Melton. Just over time, just realized I really made the right decision because I've got a bunch of dudes that are probably going to be the best men at my wedding, like just guys that I want to like spend time with for the rest of my life. So I would say the people is ultimately what got me to go to Ohio State.
What was the difference from Urban's program to Ryan Day's? I mean, just you don't have to dig too deeply into it, but I'd be interested in hearing what sort of things pop to mind when you hear that.
Well, I was there. My first year was Ryan Day's first year. So even though I
Okay.
got recruited by Urban, I never played on one of his teams. But you hear
Yeah.
war stories because he was there for a while. And apparently it was kind of like walking on eggshells, just because if you're walking in the hallway with him, he'll just randomly just like select you, just ask you a random question about football. If you don't get it, then he's pissed off. It sounds like
Yeah.
he ran like a pretty tight ship. Ryan Day, of course, like he's also a pretty intense guy, but
Mhm.
I wouldn't say he's more of a player coach because, of course, like Urban Meyer, great success. I never got to experience that, but I guess it was just not loose, but like guys could be themselves a little more like with his team. So
Yeah.
I wish I got to experience at least 1 year with Coach Meyer. Apparently, the recruiting aspect of him and the coaching is completely different because he was treating me like a king. Apparently, once I got in as an actual player, he was going to ground and pound me. But yeah, I would say Coach Day, he's more of like a player coach, probably.
What was like when you got on campus, you were obviously getting recruited probably hard to go to a program like OSU. What shocked you most when you showed up that first week?
Luckily, I was warned by my running back coach that, like, hey, of course, like we're being nice to you and everything, but once you get on campus, like I'm gonna treat you the way I treat everybody else, and like I'm gonna push you as hard as I can. And immediately the first workout, I realized that we have our little warm up that we did for workouts, our first workout. And it took like 40 minutes. Everyone's absolutely dying, all the freshmen. And we think it's over. It turns out that was literally just a warm up, but we still got like 2 more hours of workouts to get through. And
Yeah.
just after that first day, I realized like this is a different level that I'm going to have to like elevate my game to. So
Mhm.
I think just that first workout, like maybe like really made me open my eyes and say, like, I've really got to step up if I'm going to survive here at Ohio State.
Yeah. And coming from Georgia, I mean, that's a big high school football state. Me and Jacob were talking about like where we rank certain states. Where would you put Georgia and how many of those guys were you running into at the next level?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'd say Georgia is somewhere in the top three
Yeah.
because I top four. 'Cause I think the big four are Texas, Florida, California, and Georgia. I'd probably put Georgia over California just because I don't like the whole California lifestyle, whatever. And then right behind that, I'm putting Ohio. I've got a newfound love for Ohio sports. My roommates came from Ohio. Half of the team from Ohio State's from Ohio, and they're obviously one of the best teams in the entire country. So I love Ohio football. I went out to a couple random Friday night games because we got bored. So Ohio football, like top notch.
Yeah. I know we talked about this offline, but I played your roommate Tommy in high school when he was at Ignatius and I was at Elder, and dude was a monster.
Dude, he's like a living barbarian.
Yeah.
He's sadistic out there.
I think he single-handedly beat us in that game. I told you, I'm like, that was probably one of the better high school football games I've ever seen someone play. Um,
It's quite literally just like a shark roaming around on the field, like a literal land shark. He's
mhm,
insane.
I was just glad I was on the opposite side of the ball from him.
Was Jacob James not able to contain him a little bit?
I guess not, man. We couldn't get points that game. I think it was like something like 17-7 or something.
Did he play offense at all? I never really had that conversation with him. I don't think he did.
Who, Tommy?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't remember that. I mean, they probably could have just put him at fullback and told him to spear the middle linebacker or whoever
probably.
fills.
Yeah, he just doesn't have that really like offensive bone to him. I feel like he's just a defense only guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess carrying on with the OSU questions, what was one of the things early on? You mentioned the warm up was kicking your ass pretty early. I mean, what one of the first things that you had to fix to kind of survive at that level?
Oh gosh, I would say my first day at camp.
Hmm.
That first day of fall camp, I started crying in my bathroom. Because like you think that camp is just you go in, you practice, you have a couple meetings, and then you're out. Absolutely not. You're getting up at 6 a.m. Meetings are starting at 7. You've got practice at 9 for like 2 or 3 hours. You're working out, you're meeting more, you're doing walkthroughs. By the time 4 or 5 comes around, I'm thinking, okay, like this is enough football. Like we should be out going back to the hotel. Turns out we've got more meetings, we got to walk through, we got to do all this stuff, and we're not getting out of the facility till 9:30, and we've got wake up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. So like after that first day, realized I just had a 15-hour day of football, and I've got a whole month of this. I literally just broke down in the bathroom, like, how am I going to get through this? And then that's where you kind of learn you got to lean on those other freshmen, those other guys that you came in with, because you can't do it alone, especially your first time. Like you get
Hmm.
used to it as a senior a little bit, but that first year of camp is truly like one of the most grueling things you'll ever go through in your life. It's bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess a lot of that, those calluses that you built up
Yeah.
probably translate really well to what you're doing today professionally, both on and off the field. So as shitty as it probably was, it's probably cool to see who you grew into. And that's kind of what I hear from a lot of guys that go through something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, because anytime I'm going through anything hard, I literally think of just mat drills or fall camp. If I'm able to get through that, I can get through just about anything that like regular life can throw at me.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't it? I think it's Goggins that always says like I've done hard things. Like I know that. I think he calls it the cookie jar. Maybe like he's like I've
Yeah,
done these hard things and I know I can get through anything. So
yeah.
that kind of stuff just raises your level.
Anytime you do something hard, put it in the cookie jar. That's just another callus that you built for yourself. Makes you tougher
Mhm.
down the road.
Yeah. Okay. You were moving along through your OSU career and then you switched positions. So you were
Mm-hmm.
on offense and you moved over to defense. What was that like? I mean, that's got to be a tough transition.
It was tough because I'm a prideful dude and I wanted to play offense really bad. But
Yeah.
luckily, a man by the name of Travion Henderson was able to change my mind because he came in as a freshman in spring ball. He immediately took my job. He jumped up, I think, to either first or second team. I got bumped down to like third team or so. And at the time, we had a lot of running backs, but we also had very few linebackers. So had some talks with Coach Day, had some talks with Coach Washington, the linebacker coach at the time. They said, like, dude, we've got tons of running backs. Like, we trust in your talents there, but we also recruited you as a linebacker, and we're very thin there. So we know that you love this program. We know that you want this team to win. So can you help us in transition to linebacker and just fill a spot that we desperately need?
Hmm.
And it took me a while to kind of say yes, but I had talks with them, of course, had talks with my parents, had talks with some of my buddies that I trust a lot. And then over time, just realized like linebacker might be the move for me. And it's the best chance to get on the field and help the team win. So ultimately made that change in that summer. Next thing you know, after like a month or two, I end up starting and the rest is history.
Yeah. When you're out there and you have played that side of the ball offense and then you go over to defense, was there was there things you were picking up on that you don't think someone that had played defense their entire time would? I mean, was there any examples of that?
Oh yeah, I mean, as soon as I made the change and I had very little knowledge of like our defense in general, most of the time I would listen to our offense to see what they're doing. So it was kind of a cheat code for me because I know all their lingo and stuff.
Yeah.
So I could hear them like making checks. I know exactly what play they're in. So that was able to get me by for a while until I actually started learning the defense. And then I just kind of had to plug my ears and not listen to what they're doing because that's just not fair. And then
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
like on Saturdays, all offenses like they have different code words, but they kind of like make this. They kind of make sense. They're all kind of the same. So one I remember that popped up was I forgot what team it was, but they made a check. It was just like Bob Ross, and he's a painter. That also means that like a draw. So after they made that check, realized a draw is coming, I was able to make the play. So it's just little stuff like that, little code words that you hear an offense say, and having been on the offensive side, like you kind of get an idea of what they're trying to get into.
Hmm. When you were prepping for a game week, I mean, I talked to Jacob about this. Like, what does it look like on the defensive side of the ball, like throughout that game week leading up to those games? I mean, I know there's probably guys that you've watched growing up, like Luke Kuechly, for example, that just prep like a monster and go out in the field, and it seems like they know where the ball's going. What sort of a system did you build throughout your time, and what does a normal week look like to you?
Gosh, it kind of changed because after my junior senior year, whenever they had the whole scandal with Michigan, there was rumors that they were taking tape from like our iPads, so we weren't able to watch film like at home. So everything we had to do was in house at the facility. So there wasn't really like any late nights at my house like watching film because we just weren't allowed to do that. But
Hmm.
I mean, for the most part, like we were in the Woody for a long time every single day. I guess Monday and Tuesday, that's whenever you're kind of learning the offense you're going against. You're getting an idea of what plays you might want to run. by the time you get to Wednesday, it's like special categories. So like short yardage, goal line, and everything. So you've got first and second down covered. Now you're going to more like specific, I guess, game situations. And then by the time you get to Thursday, you've hopefully got your entire game plan in. You have a good idea of what the offense is going to run. And now it's just kind of perfecting your craft. Like if they do this, then we have this check. If they do this, then we need to play this coverage a certain way. And by the time you get to Friday, hopefully everything's perfect. You're ready for Saturday. Last kind of walkthroughs on Saturday morning, if it's like a night game or whatever, and then you're kicking off, and hopefully you do all your assignments and you're good.
Hmm. I didn't know that you guys were not allowed to take the iPads home. That's pretty nuts. I
Yeah.
had heard rumors of it, but I didn't know that it was like to that extent. Like, how did that get leaked to you? And what was like a little more background on that?
So it started off, one of our players, I guess, started leaking film to other teams. I think that's what the situation was. I'm not 100% sure, so I won't call him out. Like,
Yeah.
kind of a douchebag, whatever. So that kind of started it. So the team was kind of like very hesitant already. And then once the whole Connor Stallions things broke out, then they realized, okay, like let's be very safe. We're going to keep all the film in house. So we're not worried about 100+ guys going out with their film on their iPads and possibly like showing other people. So that's kind of like what
Mhm.
started. It was between the guy who leaked it, I think like my junior year, and then the whole Connor Stallions situation.
I didn't know there was a rat running around
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Really,
we had a rat running around there.
man. Well, sounds like I mean, a lot of that stuff has unfolded over the past couple of years. I don't know if you want to dig in too much on it, but like, what are your general thoughts on that whole situation? And then we can jump ahead to
I
more
mean,
ball talk.
it sucks. Like it's annoying that it happened, but
Hmm.
at this point, like what are you gonna do about it? They can say they're gonna vacate a national championship or vacate some wins, but the game's already happened. Like you already have those emotions that you've built up through all these years. You felt the pain, you felt the glory, of course, on their side. There's no really like taking that away.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I think it's one of those things where you need to fix it on the front end so it doesn't happen. Because once it happens, you can do whatever punishments you want. Like it's set in stone already. There's nothing that can really change that.
Hmm. And during your career, near the end, had NIL really exploded into what it is today? Or not really today, but like had it begun to become a little bit of a problem yet? I'm thinking back and I don't remember exactly.
No, we didn't really have a problem my last year. That's before it just kind of like everything just went crazy. Because
Yeah.
after my year, like everyone got paid very well, and then we had a bunch of seniors that decided to stay, and that's where you heard like the big numbers being thrown out to these players, and the whole thing with Ohio State having a 30 million, $40 million roster or whatever. Because we had a bunch of seniors that decided to stay, and they got compensated pretty well for it. So
Yeah.
I had just missed that whole crazy NIL year by 1 year. And after that, like all the other teams kind of followed suit. They started paying their players $5 million, $4 million or whatnot. So I didn't really get to experience most of that myself. I still made a very good living doing it, but I was never a part of any team where guys were getting paid $5 million like in the same locker room as me.
Hmm. What have you heard that has changed with the locker room dynamics now with those sort of numbers being thrown around? I mean, like there's guys that are making 5 million bucks, and then the guy next to him is not making 5 million bucks. So
Yeah.
what are you hearing on that end?
Now, luckily, Ohio State, I'm gonna sound a little biased, but just based on like what their culture is, there's not as much problem in the locker
Hmm.
room. But I have talked to some guys who, even though they don't really say anything to other guys, they're still pissed about it. Because you'll have someone who spent 4 years at Ohio State, they've been grinding their ass off, they're on all the special teams, they're getting like meaningful reps, and then all of a sudden a freshman comes in who has not proved anything. He has not earned his Buckeye stripes, like he hasn't done anything, and he's getting paid more than that 4 year guy. So it's one of those things where you're just getting these freshmen that are getting a bunch of money thrown at them, but we don't even know like what product they're going to be able to show on the field. So it's one of
Hmm.
those things. And then of course you've got maybe like a second string guy getting picked up by another team, hitting the transfer portal, getting $1 million, and then all of a sudden he's a backup because they didn't do their due diligence and like they realize that he's not like a starter caliber player. And even though he's a backup on that team, the starter might be getting paid less, and then it just makes zero sense. Like one guy's getting all the reps, the other's second team, and he's getting paid more. So I don't know. It's a big problem that's been presented to the NCAA. They're currently trying to fix it with the whole thing Trump's doing, bringing in like Urban Meyer, like Saban, and all that. But I'm curious to see how it develops over the next like 5 or 10 years.
Did you watch any of there was some kind of meeting, I think, over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We're recording this on March 8th for context. So if we release this a couple weeks from now and something's changed, sorry, but still, can you kind of just like debrief me on what exactly was covered if you did watch it?
Now, I saw the meeting was happening, but I have
Yeah.
no idea right now what they talked about. I still got to do my own research. But
Hmm.
God, it looked like they had presidents, ADs from a whole different, from like a bunch of different schools. They had Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, Tiger Woods came in. So it wasn't just college football; it was just college sports as a whole, and trying to get an idea of how to really put a cap on NIL, but at the same time still have the players being compensated and paid for, while
Yeah.
also kind of like spreading the sugar a little bit, having every single sport get a little bit. Because whenever you go to a school like Ohio State, just football monopolizes everything. All the money goes there. And then like the fencing team, track and field, like they get screwed over because they're not getting any money. So I think they're just trying to figure out all the problems. They're trying to get a bunch of people in one building, a bunch of ideas being thrown out, and then hopefully maybe like collab on some of those ideas and make some kind of rule where you can just kind of calm everything down in the NIL world.
Yeah. I mean, you've probably put some thought to this, but like if you could design a couple of guardrails or ideas to try to fix what's going on, maybe you don't think it's a problem, but I'm curious, like, have you thought about what would be a better way to structure some of this? That's a pretty like nuanced question. I
Yeah.
understand that.
I would say the first problem is not really understanding whether these student athletes or actual employees.
Yeah.
Because if they're employees, you could implement a bunch of rules to kind of regulate things. If they're not, well, it doesn't even make sense because student athletes just outright wouldn't be getting paid. So it's kind of finding that middle ground, that hybrid that you probably have to create and call them. So they're still like being able to go to school, getting into education, but also be protected by these different like things that an employee would for like an actual business. So it's
Hmm.
that I would probably put a salary cap on some of these teams, but at the same time, have some kind of equation where guys are still getting compensated. It's not one of those things where everyone gets 100K or whatever, even though one's a fifth string and one's a starting quarterback. So I'm not smart enough to have the answers, but hopefully the smarter people in this world are able to come up with something, and then I'll just from the sideline I'll be like yay or nay.
Yeah.
So hopefully they figure something out.
We got to get Coach Saban as the commissioner. That was something
I try
that
to whatever he says, I'll agree with. I don't
the
care.
same way. I'm like, yes.
Yes, if it's the most outlandish shit ever, I don't care. It's Coach Saban. He is football Jesus.
Yeah.
Listen to him.
What is have you heard any like crazy compensation stories just like recently? Just from anyone like behind the scenes? I mean, I've heard a couple from like the Duke quarterback, I think, to going to Miami, but have you heard anything from
Like,
your circle?
yeah, I've got some buddies who I love them to death, but they are not worth the amount they're getting paid for. So they had, like one of my best buddies, like as a kid, like his brother, who's a couple years below me, he's getting paid, I think, 500,000, and he's a guard. He went to God, I think USF, and he started maybe 3 games. He's transferred from like 3 different schools. He doesn't really have much tape out there, but somehow he was able to finagle a $500,000 deal for this team, and there's a good chance he's not even going to start. So it's just, I don't. I feel like teams just aren't doing the research on players, and they're just throwing money out there to throw money out there.
Yeah. It almost feels like there's guys that accept like I'm not going to play in the NFL. I'm going to try to make as much money as I possibly can while I'm playing college football. And if that means I'm a merchant for a couple of years, so be it. But I do think you miss out on probably the experience that you got, and it's that network and kind of pushing through hard things over a long period of time that I think I've heard Coach Saban argue about is taking away that development and that opportunity to build these boys into men, not only boys but girls into women. I mean, like across all college sports, there's a lot of people that are just moving around. And do you have any general thoughts on that? I guess.
Yeah, because that's like really the spirit of college sports, especially college football. It's the idea of like boys and girls transforming into young men and women while
Hmm.
also like developing certain social skills and just like working on their craft in whatever sport they're playing it. And now that money is kind of falling into the equation, it's one of those things where instead of like sticking it out and like enduring those hard times at whatever university you're at, they're able to just like take an easy road because there's more money or because like playing time might be easier instead of just grinding and trying to like do their best to produce at the university they're at. But the transfer portal is good. Like you see tons of stories like Justin Fields, Joe Burrow, like they utilized it really well because they just need a second chance. But now it's kind of becoming a pity party where, oh, I'm not playing. Okay, I'm just going to go to this school and get all this money. So I think it is definitely deterring a bunch of very young individuals from growing up.
Hmm.
And some guys now they're like staying for 7 or 8 years because they don't want to go into the real world. They want to stay in college. They want to get money there and not have to deal with like all the problems that come with actual like real world stuff because they're not developed yet. They're not ready for it. So yeah, it's a hindrance to college students in general. So hopefully it gets fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like it feels short sighted in some ways. Obviously, there's exceptions to that, but you look 40 years out rather than 3 or 4 years, and it can change quite a bit for
Yeah.
your trajectory. Do you do you think that as we kind of continue to learn about how this works as a college football community, I mean, do you think that we're going to be moving more towards an NFL style model? And like, I'm curious what you think that means for development and culture inside of programs and how they would change.
It seems like they're probably moving towards an NFL style model because I mean the ketchup's out of the bottle at this point. There's no putting a lid on NIL, and the rules that they're starting to implement makes it seem like it's just getting more and more extreme. Like the whole thing with Mississippi, where guys aren't going to have to pay taxes on any of their NIL dollars.
I
Like
did
that's
not know that. Really?
oh yeah, Mississippi just passed a law where guys like any dollar you make in NIL does not get taxed by the state.
It no taxes at all on any of that. Like you get a
There's no state taxes there.
okay, man, wow.
So I
So
don't know, like
everyone's going to be going to Ole Miss.
yeah, like I like you think that they're going towards an NFL model, and then they just pull out a random rule like that. So like, there's no one has any idea really what they're doing. They're just throwing rules out there and doing stuff so teams can kind of try to make a move, get to the playoffs, and find shortcuts to get guys into their program and become better instead of just developing what you already have.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, I hope it's an NFL style model because that would at least calm things down. So you don't have a guy going to seven different teams in 7 years because that doesn't really happen in the NFL. Or I
Yeah.
guess it does, but like because teams are trading him, not because the player just gets sick of a place and wants to leave.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I hope it goes more towards NFL, but at the same time, just kind of keeping the culture and the overall feeling that college football has developed over the last 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah, the pageantry and it just the kind of magic that you feel with it. If you were starting right now your own program in college football, from a recruiting standpoint, would you build your program on high school talent or transfers? Because I know this is a hot topic with
Oh,
what Indiana just did,
yeah. I mean,
or some kind of balance of it. And like, what would that sort of a percentage be both ways?
it's got to be a balance because you don't want to put all that time and effort and money into these young high school guys. And the next thing you know, after 9 months, they're going somewhere else. You're just wasting a bunch of money, wasting a bunch of time.
Hmm.
So you still got to find your core pieces that are going to be guys that will be at your university for 5 years. Like those are the leaders that you look to. And then you got to recruit, of course, talent coming in through the transfer portal because every single team you look at that has won national championship in the past 3 years, they've all got big transfer guys that have contributed a lot to the program. So it's finding that mix. I'd probably go 50-50, maybe lean a little more towards recruiting and just really focus on like getting those guys to stay at the university and be a part of like a huge opportunity, just like a big time like just a big time program. And of
Yeah.
course, like
Yeah.
just that outside talent that can just add that extra fire to the flame.
Hmm. And it seems like the teams recently that have that experience. So you look back and you see Michigan's team was a lot of veterans. Ohio State, when they won, was a lot of guys, like you said, that came back. And then Indiana had veterans. It seems like the teams that are uh, paying attention to that and leaning into it are succeeding. Um, it kind of gets tied back to that point of like how do you teach these guys to stick around that long? Because I mean, I think teams will rely more and more on that proven production coming in through the transfer portal. So you worry how sustainable that model is. But I mean, what do you think about? I guess that from like a high school standpoint, like do you worry about the recruiting and the new guys coming in?
I think you do a lot of that work on the front end in recruiting guys with the character that are able to stick it out. If it's just like
Hmm.
a normal situation, not anything crazy where they should probably like make a change and transfer.
Yeah,
But it's getting harder and harder because that pool of guys in high school is just slowly shrinking. Because you got now high schoolers are starting to make money with NIL. So you're just it's I don't even know how to describe it. Like 10 like 5-10 years ago, it was much easier to find like your Ohio State like super fan who's always wanted to go to Ohio State, like bleeds scarlet and gray and will die with the Buckeyes. And now
hmm
you're seeing more players who they might like Ohio State a little bit, they want to go there, but if there's an easier situation over at Oregon or over at Alabama that pays better, they're going to do that. So it's kind of still finding that unicorn that will bleed for your program no matter what and doesn't care about the dollar signs or anything. They just want to win a national championship for your team. And I think the formula is trying to find those players out of high school, even though it's almost like finding a needle in a haystack at this point.
yeah. And it's so hard to knock anyone for turning down that amount of money. I mean, that's life changing for someone's family too. And if like you're playing for this program and someone comes to you and says, "We'll double your NIL and start you right away," and you're like, "I can't say no to that." I mean, have you heard any stories about like the tampering going on with some programs in the transfer
Ooh.
portal?
I mean, I've heard everything about Kiffin. People absolutely hate him about his whole tampering thing. I haven't heard too many stories besides like the big ones that have been coming out as far as Mensa. Who else was there? Damon Williams over at Washington. So like I heard of
Yeah.
the big ones, but nothing really smaller. But gosh, like you said, you can't really fault some of these 18 or 19-year-olds who are being thrown $1 million at them. Like they still have like smooth brains. They're still developing. So
Yeah.
you can't ask a dude that's still trying to develop himself to turn down $1 million whenever he hasn't been at a program for a year.
Yeah.
Like with me, I was luckily at Ohio State for 3 years at the time once NIL like boomed. And that's whenever I started having schools come up to me and like start throwing like money at me. But by that time, I had developed a relationship. I had built up loyalty with the program and there was no way I was leaving it. But
Mhm.
if they caught me on the right day, like my freshman year, whenever I was crying in the bathroom and they said like, hey, like we can make this easier and also give you some money, maybe I would have made a different decision. Hopefully, knowing myself, I probably wouldn't have. I hope, but
Mhm.
it's hard to really fault these players because I mean this is life changing money that's being given out to them.
Yeah. I was pretty unaware of the Lane Kiffin stuff. What have you heard on that end, if you're willing to share?
Yeah, so he was trying. God, who was it? Was it Damon Williams? He's just been trying to just pluck players out from all over. He tried to steal a bunch of players from Ole Miss. I think he tried to steal Damon Williams from Washington, while also he was parading. He was still like recruiting another quarterback. I forget his name. I think it's the guy from ASU. He had
Mhm.
just signed with LSU, and then he was also looking for another big time quarterback that he was going to pay like $4 million. So basically, he's hearing a number that's being thrown at these players, and he's saying, "I'll give you 1 million more." That's kind of what he's doing throughout all of the college football landscape.
Yeah, and if you are thinking about it, it's like if you don't have, if you don't come from much and you get thrown an extra $1 million, that's life changing for your family and their
Heck
future.
yeah.
So it's like you can't knock guys at the end of the day.
Yeah. Plus, like
So
at that age, they're definitely hearing stuff from their parents, probably.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
if someone's like in a bad financial situation and their son is being offered $1 million, as a parent, you're probably going to go up to him and say like, "Hey, like we could really use this money. You should take this deal." And then that's a whole
Yeah.
different situation.
And I've heard that there's like agents that are kind of like weeding their way into things and kind of stealing from a lot of these players too, and making them make bad decisions. And there's no alignment of interest in some cases. So it's all wrong in a lot of different ways. Have you heard of some horror stories with that?
No, not really, but it makes sense. If I'm an agent, I take 10% off the top. You just got offered $1 million. That's 100K for me. Like, why would I not want you to take that deal?
Hmm.
That's quick money.
Yeah. It's kind of scary. And hopefully, as they continue to meet in the coming weeks, there's at least some sort of progress being made.
Yeah, I'm
But
excited to see what they say in that meeting because
mhm.
I think it's going to be like a lot of very very crazy ideas that hopefully like after we look at it for a while we can kind of like chip away at it and we can find a little bit of gold in that crazy idea that they're presenting.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. Transitioning things now a little bit more back to your story when you were moving into uh, away from Ohio State and into the NFL, probably was a certain adjustment period. I'm sure that OSU prepared you well, but what was your rookie mini camp and the OTAs like, and like what did you learn within those first couple of months?
Dude, it's like a horror story. My God.
Oh, really?
Oh, Detroit. That year, Detroit got flagged for, I guess, going too crazy in rookie minicamp and all that. So they gave us, I think, 2 or 3 days off with compensation because
Hmm.
they just do things differently there. It's like your very first day, you're given 10 to 15 plays. You're expected to know all of it, all the checks. You're playing three different linebacker positions, and they just throw you out into the fire, and hopefully you survive. It is, it's a lot. And
Hmm.
ugh, I remember I would play a certain song every single morning to like try to get ready for the day. Now I can't listen to the song because
Yeah.
it just brings back bad memories. Yeah.
What do you mean about Detroit that it was done things were done differently?
Well, I don't know, just my freshman year of college. It's different because you can't be let go from college. So, like, even though you might be struggling, you'll have guys kind of come to your side. You're 18 years old, and they're kind of like helping you throughout the way. Now
Yeah.
you're with the big boys. Like, if you don't produce, you'll be cut in a week. So it's just that
Yeah.
added pressure where I really have no safety net. Like, if I mess up, I'm gone. It's not one of those things where if I mess up, I can just go talk to my coach. He'll say it all feels better, and then I can move on with my day. So
Mhm.
it's just it. Plus, it's just a constant battle with the guys like to your left and right because they're trying to provide for their families, and you might find yourself in a situation where they're not even going to help you because like they're looking out for themselves. Luckily in Detroit, that wasn't the case. The linebacker group there was awesome, but it's just the NFL. You immediately saw like it's truly a business there, and guys are not messing around.
Yeah. Looking back, would you have done anything differently with your experience?
Gosh, I would just say maybe a little more time in the books, but I mean, I
Mhm.
studied my ass off. I did everything I could, and it's just it was a tough situation I was put in because the linebacker room was already really built up. They had a bunch of veterans there that understood the system. I'm trying to play catch up, trying to understand the system, and while also going out there and like producing on the field, which is just kind of hard to balance. So I wouldn't I wouldn't change anything really. I would just say maybe like a little more effort towards like understanding the playbook, but I know I did all I could.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like you were put in a pretty difficult spot. It's sort of a sink or swim sort of a mentality, which weeds out, I guess, a lot of people. And how many people are on an NFL roster when they start the season? Isn't it only like 50 or 60?
It's 53 guys on the roster and then
53.
oh gosh, what is it? I think it's around 20 practice squad guys. And that practice squad's very fluid. I mean, you've got guys going on and off it every single week for the entire season.
Yeah. What do they start with at the beginning? And then how many people do they cut typically?
I think it's somewhere in the 70 to 90 range. I don't really.
Cool, man. So, like you said, there's guys that are trying to provide for their family, and I guess tying a bow on the college versus NFL topic, the guys that are staying for 7 to 8 years in college, it's like, I don't like, it's hard to knock them. You're like, dude, I can make $500,000 and I'm not worried about getting cut. It's guaranteed money.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, it's a weird era that we're living in right now, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you've got guys that are in college for their 6th year and they're making more money than some guys in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's Oh no, I would have never expected this out of the NIL era. I thought this was just like, hey, you can go have a commercial with Outback Steakhouse. You can go get some free wings or whatever, and like that was going to be it. I never expected these big dollars to be thrown at these kids.
Yeah. Well, you get a pretty neat opportunity to be on the media side now, and having done all of it, what sort of a like what is your long term goal with your not only your football career but your media career post football?
Oh gosh, I mean, being like a Kirk Herbstreit, McAfee, or whatever on College Game Day, that would be. If I got that, I could die and be completely content. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's something like on the analyst side where just I'm always staying in touch with the game. I'm never leaving the game. I could be 60 years old and I'm still talking ball. Like
Hmm.
so something like that on the media side. Of course, I want to grow my brand. I'm going to some Big Ten experience thing, hopefully in June to kind of like build up my knowledge on the space as far as like broadcasting, analytics, and everything like that. So I want to stay in that for the rest of my life. And then of course however it pans out with football, that's how it pans out. At this point, I know what I want to do after that, so I'm not as concerned, I guess, like immediately with making this last as long as possible because I still want to be able to like run around with my kids and some whenever I'm older. I don't want to have bad knees and bad shoulders. So, of course, I'm still like trying for this NFL opportunity, but if it doesn't happen, like I've got the media to fall back on. Like I'm positive that's something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Hmm. We talked a little bit about that Big Ten opportunity that you have. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? I would love to hear more about it.
Yeah, so basically, it sounds like a boot camp. So you have a bunch of people sign up. I think it just ended, and they're bringing in 12 to 15 former Big Ten athletes. It's going to be some seminar thing over in Chicago, Illinois. And I think they just bring you in and they kind of teach you the ins and outs of the broadcasting space, the analytics space. And you probably get like a couple of dry run throughs where you're kind of doing your own broadcast on like a simulated game or whatever. And it's just getting an idea of the space that you want to work in as far as like sports media.
Hmm.
And I signed up for that. I've got some connects over there. Bobby Carpenter, like he knows a bunch of people over at the Big Ten, a bunch of former NFL guys that I'm reaching, or former Buckeyes that I'm reaching out to that have worked for the Big Ten network. So they probably have some hands in there that could wriggle me in there. So hopefully that works out. I didn't realize that it was such a short list of people. Like I said, like a dozen people, and probably going to be hundreds that sign up for it. But I'm a pretty recent guy. Luckily, I have a cool name, so that might pop out or not. So I
Yeah.
hope it works out because if it does, that'll be something I'm really excited for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes you think because you're leaning on your Ohio State network, and we talked about how valuable that is staying at a school for 4 years and graduating. Um, if you had transferred to four different schools, maybe you wouldn't have had this opportunity. So that's just to me an example of where it actually is happening in real time. That's really neat, though. I think that's a cool opportunity. What sort of things have you learned so far starting out in working with Bobby? Like, is there two or three things about brand partnerships or the cadence that a professional like Bobby follows that you've learned and you want to carry forward?
Yeah, it's just working on that relationship between whoever you're talking with, just like understanding certain cues that they give you to know, like when it's your time to talk, whenever they want to pivot to a different topic. It's a bunch of stuff. Plus, just like working on speech in general. I've got mumble mouth, so that's something that I'm always trying to work on. Just
Hmm.
being able to get my thoughts out coherently in a way that people understand it. So yeah, it's only been a couple months with Bobby, but I've learned a lot from him. He's been in this kind of sports media space for a long time. He's also a professor at Ohio State, so he's a smart dude, but at the same time, he's a bro. So I feel like this is the perfect kind of guy that I want to learn from as far as understanding the media, but at the same time being able to kind of be my own self and not
Hmm.
just conform to like a TV personality and like just like be someone that I'm not. So I think Bobby Carpenter, great dude. He's someone that I'm glad I'm learning from.
Yeah. one of the things I always kind of lean on is authenticity,
Hmm.
especially in media. I think today, like with a lot of the AI stuff that's coming on, I just think it's easier than ever to kind of spot where a lot of that just AI slop gets put out there, and you're like, I'm not like consuming any of their content. I don't like it. It's not real. So that's cool that you're leaning into that, and you're working on finding a mentor. I think like it for people that are our age, finding someone where you want to be where they are is really important.
Yeah,
That's
especially
cool.
like, yeah, because Bobby, he has his hands in a bunch of different stuff. He's also got, I don't know, he's got like 5 different jobs. Like, he's an absolute hustler. So that's, of course, someone I look up to. But then, like, there's guys like Cardell Jones, who's like a big personality in all of Columbus. He's also like a part-time ambassador for the UFL team, the Aviators. He's done
Hmm.
everything with the Big Ten Network. So, like, he has used his popularity in the Columbus area to really just absolutely explode. Then another guy like Josh Perry, he worked with the Big Ten Network. Now he's working over at CBS. So yeah, it's just kind of gaining experience from all these guys that you've built relationships with over my 5 years at Ohio State, and trying to use those relationships to kind of elevate your own status and hopefully get to the overall success that those guys are experiencing.
Hmm. How you probably have a lot of neat opportunities that are presented to you, and they'll probably just continue to add up. But what are a couple things you've learned about deciding whether to say yes or no to while you're busy too?
Of right now, I'm saying yes to everything and then adjusting.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
might as well just keep all your options open right now, and I'm just being a yes man. If something doesn't work with the schedule, then try to figure it out. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. It wasn't meant to be. But for right now, I'm not turning down any options. I'm saying yes to everything and just trying to make it work. Because yeah, I have somewhat of a packed schedule right now with the UFL season, of course, the Bobby Carpenter show. But if I can make it work, I'm gonna make it work for you, and just like let people know that I'm always available.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna transition now to I call it a rapid fire round, but every time I end up doing it, I ask I gotta work on my questions because I end up asking questions that
Follow up questions.
yeah, yeah. I guess I gotta go to the Big Ten boot camp too. But my first question, Steele, is what is the favorite Ohio State game that you ever played in?
Oh goodness. Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl,
Rose Bowl game where Jackson Smith and Jigbo went off.
Utah?
Yep, Utah.
Yeah, I might follow up on these. I'm gonna break my rule, just so you
All
know.
good, man. I'm here.
Who was the toughest opponent on offense that you were going against in any game?
Oh, Joe Alt.
Joe Alt
Yeah,
from was he
yeah,
Notre Dame?
yeah. He was a Notre Dame guy.
Mhm.
Literally just cinder block hands.
Who was the best player that you practiced against at Ohio State?
Either Chase Young or J.K. Dobbins.
What about the NFL?
Ooh, Jack Campbell, a literal cyborg.
You may have already answered this, but what is the hardest day of conditioning that you've ever had in your entire athletic career?
Oh my gosh, there's 2 to come to mind. One of them was basically a one-on-one workout with me and Coach Mick, our strength coach. It
Mhm.
was me and Cade Stover. We had to do basically 2 workouts a day because we had a cruise we had to go to. We were going to miss workouts. That ended up being like a 4 to 5 hour thing. Both ended up throwing up at the end of it. Terrible. It was either that or there was a certain mat drill freshman year where I literally couldn't feel my legs afterwards. I was just laying down in the locker room for like 2 hours.
That's good. What was the best stadium atmosphere you ever played in? Maybe
Ooh.
that's not in Columbus, if that's your answer.
Nah, Rose Bowl Stadium's cool. Notre Dame was awesome, but I'll go with Nebraska Stadium.
Nebraska, cool. Okay.
That's just an absolute curveball that was thrown at me. There's no hatred in that stadium whatsoever. There's a bunch of like very rich traditions. Everyone's congratulating you after you win, even though you just beat their team. It's just very different. So I very much like that stadium.
Yeah, I like that program too. I think Matt Rule's a good coach. So I'm always pulling for him. Unfortunately, it's been a rough few years. Yeah. Who was the linebacker that you studied the most?
Ooh, gosh. Probably Fred Warner. Fred Warner or Ryan Shazier.
Did you ever meet Ryan Shazier when he came back?
I gambled with him.
Oh, cool. You have
Yeah,
to elaborate.
on the Buckeye cruise. There was a little room we had for gambling. We played blackjack together. It was fun.
All right, cool. That's the Buckeye Network right there that we're
Exactly,
talking
man. That's
about.
where you
Yeah.
meet people, brother.
Yeah. What's one coaching phrase that you still hear in your head to this day?
Ooh, gosh. Strength and honor or attack and dominate.
Hmm. Sounds like something you'd hear in like Game of Thrones.
Uh, what's it called? Strength and honor. That's from Gladiator.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one
Very
of
good.
Coach Noel's favorite sayings.
Oh, that's cool. What's the favorite football city that you've lived in?
Ugh. I'll just go with Columbus.
Hmm.
I love the summers there.
Yeah. If you had a full day completely off, how would you spend it?
Gosh. I'm gonna wake up, make eggs and bacon, play with the dog, take the dog to the river for probably 5 to 6 hours, come back, take a quick little power nap, uh, maybe go watch a baseball game with the bros out like at um SunTrust Field or whatever,
Hmm.
wherever stadiums in Georgia, and then go to a bar and watch some MMA fights.
Sounds like a great day. What
Fantastic.
What are you doing at the river? Are you guys boating? Or are you just hanging out at like the beach?
Either after this, ask Jacob James about our river story from last year.
All right, I will. Is that better for off air?
It was bad. It was real bad. I almost died. But yeah, I like to do something called shooting the hooch,
Okay,
which
what's
like
Mm.
that?
over in Georgia, it's called the Chattahoochee River. So you park a car down the river like 4 or 5 miles, and then you drive everyone with like floaties and whatnot, like 5 miles like upstream,
Hmm.
and then you just set up all your floaties. You float. You have your drinks. You have your speaker, and you just hang out floating down the river for 2 or 3 hours, hanging out with the guys.
I like that. We do cabrewing, so you hop in canoes and put your cooler in, and then you do the same exact thing. It's fun.
It's the same thing, but we had floaties, and then we got caught by the police, unfortunately, and then I almost died trying to save all of our phones and drinks. It was yeah. Ask him about it. That was bad.
I'll shoot him a text. All right, one more question that I wrap every episode with. A little bit of a deep one, so I'll give you a minute to think on it. But what is the single piece of wisdom that has had the greatest impact on you that you hope the listener here carries forward from your episode?
Ooh, wee. Single piece of wisdom.
Could be from a coach, your parents, anyone.
Oh gosh. I talked about this on the Bobby Carpenter show a couple days ago with Lou Holtz sadly passing. Um, if you have older people in your life, they may ramble on whenever they talk and whatnot. I know my grandfather, he can talk for 5 hours about like a 2 minute story. But I was
Yeah,
taught
yeah.
by my dad, like, even though, like, it's annoying to kinda hear these stories all the time, really listen all the time because there could be a little piece of just advice that you get from every little story they tell, and whenever they ultimately pass, those little pieces of advice, those little nuggets that they give you, those are gonna last throughout the rest of your life. So, for anyone with older parents, older grandparents, or whatever, even though they might be rambling on about whatever story it is, your first football game, your first day of college or whatever, listen to every single story they have because there's a little bit of wisdom that these old people have that you're not going to want to miss. And especially whenever they leave, you're going to want to keep that wisdom with you for the rest of your life.
Steele, this was great. Thank you for taking the time here. Where can my audience find you at?
Oh, gosh. I guess like look up Steele Chambers somewhere. I'll pop up probably. I don't know. I don't even know my Instagram handle. Just like Steele Chambers 22. Look it up. I'm probably somewhere.
Good deal, man. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it. Hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. All right. Take care.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, brother.